Steffi's shocking move to block Hope and Carter's romance. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up before the video starts. The bold and the beautiful spoilers and updates tease Hope Logan might be driven to her breaking point if she faces another romance ban. Steffy Forrester was against the idea of Hope and Thomas Forrester being a couple, pushing Thomas to take Douglas Forrester and leave town. Hope was furious after losing both the man she loved and the son they were raising together, who are now all the way in France. Meanwhile, Thomas has found happiness with Paris Buckingham, Diamond White, and Douglas is excited about the prospect of having her as a stepmom. In her frustration, Hope found herself daydreaming about John Finnegan and ended up planting a drunken kiss on him. Since that incident, Steffy has been firm with Hope about setting boundaries and maintaining her distance. Steffy is determined to protect her marriage, so one might expect her to be pleased if Hope shifted her focus to a new romantic interest. Carter Walton appears to be the next contender in Hope's love life, but things might not unfold as she hopes, considering how Steffy feels. Steffy sees Carter as a dear friend and someone she will always cherish. In fact, he's practically family to the Forresters, which makes Steffy feel a strong sense of responsibility to look out for him. Having witnessed Carter face numerous tough breakups, she's particularly sensitive to his feelings, given her perception of Hope mirroring that of Brooke Logan. Steffy is concerned that Hope could end up using Carter and leaving him heartbroken once again. What will Hope's response be if Steffy puts her foot down and prohibits her from seeing Carter? Steffy could find herself in the midst of some intense drama, realizing she needs to take action before things escalate. It's not hard to picture Steffy extending her warning, implying that if Hope wants to maintain her position, she should steer clear of any romantic entanglements with Carter. Such a demand could very well push Hope to her limits, igniting a feud with Steffy that reaches unprecedented heights. If Steffy tries to shield her friend and Forrester's COO, it might just backfire, leaving Hope consumed by thoughts of retaliation. Hope might just decide to stop following orders and let things unfold as they will regarding Hope for the future. If Carter successfully helps her revitalize her line as he intends, it could thrive to the point where she no longer has to be concerned about any threats. Should that happen, Steffy may find herself with no option but to retreat if Hope for the future regains its popularity. Additionally, Steffy might begin to recognize that Hope and Carter could actually be a good match. Regardless, it seems likely that Steffy's first response to the prospect of Hope and Carter dating won't be very favorable. In the elegant yet tumultuous world of Forrester creations, passions ran as high as the stakes. The rivalry between Steffy Forrester and Hope Logan had long been a well-known story in Los Angeles, but today, the feud was on the verge of taking a surprising new turn. This time, however, the fight was not just over designs or legacy, but something far more personal, matters of the heart. The morning light spilled through the wide glass windows of Forrester Creations' design room, casting a warm glow on the busy, stylish hive of activity. Hope Logan stood near a mannequin, pinning the final touches on her latest design, but her mind was elsewhere. Since her separation from Liam, Hope had thrown herself into work, determined to find solace in her designs, and for a while, it worked. But lately, something else had been distracting her. Carter Walton, the charming COO of Forrester Creations, with his deep voice and calm demeanor. It had started innocently, late-night chats in the office about work, sharing a glass of wine while discussing upcoming projects. But the more time Hope spent with Carter, the more she felt drawn to him. They were both dealing with heartache, both trying to find their way. There was a quiet strength about him that made her feel safe, and a smile that hinted at something more beneath the surface. But while Hope thought she was keeping her feelings discreet, Steffy Forrester wasn't fooled. Steffy had noticed the stolen glances and the lingering touches. She had seen how Hope's face lit up when Carter entered the room. And for reasons that went beyond just concern for Forrester Creations, Steffy felt compelled to stop this before it went any further. Steffy wasn't one to meddle in other people's love lives, at least not usually. But there was something about Hope and Carter that didn't sit right with her. For one, Carter had just come out of a complicated, messy relationship with Quinn Fuller, and Steffy knew better than anyone that Carter had a habit of diving headfirst into emotionally turbulent waters. But this wasn't just about Carter's bad relationship history. Steffi's primary concern was Hope's motivations. Was Hope genuinely interested in Carter, or was she using him as a way to distract herself from the pain of her broken marriage? Hope had a history of making questionable decisions when she was hurting, and Steffy wasn't about to let another Forrester get dragged into her emotional turmoil. Then there was the undeniable fact that Steffy and Hope had always been rivals, two sides of the same glamorous coin. It didn't matter how many times they tried to put their differences aside for the sake of their children or the company. In Steffi's mind, Hope had always been a threat, and this new development felt like one more move in their endless game of chess. Determined to protect Carter and herself, Steffy made her decision. She would block this romance before it could bloom. Later that afternoon, Steffy made her way to Carter's office, her heels clicking against the polished floors of the Forrester building. She found him sitting at his desk, deep in thought. "Steffy," Carter said, looking up from his papers with a warm smile. "What's going on?" She crossed her arms, leaning against the doorframe. "We need to talk, Carter. It's about Hope." The mention of Hope's name immediately changed the atmosphere. Carter's brows furrowed in confusion, and he leaned back in his chair. Steffy hesitated for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "I've noticed you and Hope have been spending a lot of time together lately, and I think it's a bad idea." Carter straightened, his expression hardening. "Excuse me. I'm not trying to overstep, but you just got out of a complicated relationship with Quinn. The last thing you need is to get involved with someone who's emotionally vulnerable. And Hope, she's not over Liam. You know that." Carter let out a frustrated sigh. "Steffy, I appreciate the concern, but I'm not a kid. I can make my own decisions." "I'm not saying you can't," Steffy replied, her voice firm but steady. "But this isn't just about you. This is about Forrester Creations too. If things go south between you and Hope, it could affect everything. We can't afford another scandal, Carter." Carter stood up, his jaw clenched. "This has nothing to do with the company. This is personal." "Exactly," Steffy shot back. "And that's why I'm worried. I don't want to see you get hurt. I don't want to see anyone get hurt." For a moment, there was silence between them, tension crackling in the air like a live wire. Finally, Carter spoke, his voice softer. "Steffy, I understand where you're coming from, but this isn't your decision to make. Hope and we're just seeing where things go. It's not like we're rushing into anything." But Steffy wasn't convinced. "I know you, Carter. You're all in when it comes to relationships, and you get hurt when things don't work out. Just be careful, please." Carter's expression softened, but he didn't respond. Instead, he simply nodded, acknowledging her words without agreeing to anything. Meanwhile, Hope had no idea that Steffy was plotting to keep her and Carter apart. She stood by her desk, her thoughts swirling with emotions she wasn't quite ready to face. She hadn't planned to fall for Carter, but there was no denying the pull between them. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something different about Carter. With him, she felt seen, understood in a way she hadn't felt with Liam in a long time. Carter wasn't Liam. He wasn't constantly torn between her and Steffy. He was steady, grounded. But as much as she wanted to explore whatever was growing between them, she knew that their budding relationship would stir up trouble, not just at Forrester, but in her personal life too. Brooke would likely warn her against it, and Ridge might have his own opinions. But Hope had spent too long worrying about what everyone else thought. This time, she was determined to follow her heart, even if it meant facing Steffi's wrath. Steffy wasn't one to back down easily, though. If her conversation with Carter didn't change his mind, she knew she'd have to go straight to the source. Hope. As she watched Carter leave the office later that day, her mind was already spinning with a new plan. Blocking Hope and Carter's romance wasn't just about protecting the company. It was about reclaiming control over a rivalry that had defined her life for years. Steffy wasn't sure how far she was willing to go to keep Carter and Hope apart. But one thing was certain. She would do whatever it took to keep her position as queen of the Forrester dynasty. And if that meant going to war with Hope yet again, so be it.